Good morning, Notre Dame fans. Mike Singer and Kyle Kelly live on a Thursday morning. But we'd like to say hello to you if it's morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you are listening to this or watching this. I hope you are doing well. We're going to talk some Notre Dame recruiting on today's show. Kyle, what's new in your world, man? We going well?
I'd say so, about as well as it can from a kid in Ohio after that game on Saturday.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yep, I guess it's been a little bit more encouraging for us recruiting reporters being able to catch up with kids after that game. All of them sounded like across the board had a super good experience. I will say, being there in person, I've never been at a game like that before. Never seen that sort of atmosphere at Notre Dame. Fans showed up. They showed out well. They made Notre Dame look super good on Saturday night, despite the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Kyle, I was just scrolling Twitter before we started the show, and this has nothing to do with recruiting. But look at this graphic. Did you see this? That Duke tweeted? The Irish come to town with a Duke player about to drop a big boulder on a little leprechaun's head. This is crazy to me. And then I tweeted deleted in 5, 4, 3. Like, this just does not seem like something you can tweet in 2023. Right? Like, but it's a bold one. Bold one by Duke. And it's been up for a half hour, and I still think that's going to get taken down by Duke. That's crazy, but yeah, folks, please do hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel if somehow you have not yet. I think we're getting close to 24,000 subscribers, which is mind blowing to me. We started this thing with like 2 or 3,000 3 years ago. We're up to almost, again, 24,000, I believe it is. And please head to blueandgold.com for more Notre Dame football. And of course, recruiting content. John says good morning from Montana. Early morning out there. Lotus says good
That's
morning.
sweet.
Greg says, well, Duke has a rich football tradition. Yeah. That was the official Duke. That is the official Duke account. Okay. Just had to make sure. Does Duke really only have 84,000 Twitter followers? That's it? Duke, that's not a lot. Right? Let's see, like, Notre Dame. We guess like 500,000 easy, 660. So there you go. Okay. Back on track. So Kyle, according to our list here on blue that you can find at blueandgold.com, Notre Dame had 20 visitors. Let me just make sure no one snuck in as like a Friday or something. So yeah, 20 visitors, 2 officials, which I'm sure we will touch on. One of them not being too notable, but one of them definitely very notable. And then 22 visitors in the 2025 class. So 20 in the 2024 mainly commits, right? I think all but 2 commits. And then 22 targets in the 2025 class. Targets, some just prospects who have not been offered by Notre Dame yet. Jake R says, I see Mike Singer more than my family. That's hysterical. So Kyle, any takeaways from you from this recruiting weekend, as whether it's reading my reports or talking to the recruits, or just kind of anything, to maybe things that didn't happen coming out of the weekend? Just thoughts on takeaways from this weekend?
Well, Mike, I'm gonna throw one at you here, a little bit unexpected. While I talk, I want you to pull up my Duce Knight video, because that was
Yeah, of course.
the highlight of the weekend, I think. Yeah, I guess kind of just starting, give a little bit of a rundown of how the day works. Recruits usually roll in sometime Saturday morning, kind of a little bit in intervals. Some of these guys are flying in from California, Arizona, Texas. The time these guys, Georgia, the time these guys get to campus, it kind of varies. So the day sort of gets really rolling for these guys in the early afternoon. They kind of hang out in the Irish Athletic Center where Notre Dame practices, and just from there, kind of get food and just meet with the coaching staff before the game and everything like that. And us recruiting reporters, we don't really get to see a lot of that stuff behind the scenes. We can like walk by and check it out or whatever, but we can't actually get inside there and see what's going on. And these kids are just sitting around at tables eating anyway, so not much to see from that aspect. But I guess where the weekend really kind of gets going for us recruiting guys is about, I think it's 2.5 hours before every kickoff. The Notre Dame has their victory march, which I'm sure some of our listeners have participated in. That everyone lines up from the Basilica to, I think it's the North Stadium entrance. It's the one that goes from the Touchdown Jesus through the library quad all the way to the entrance to Notre Dame Stadium. Basically, the way it works is the recruits all hang out at that Notre Dame Stadium entrance as they wait the team's arrival. And for some of the big games, it's sometimes not a surprise to find the committed guys walking through that line just a little bit after the team. And that's always an interesting thing to see because a lot of these fans already know the Notre Dame commits. It's pretty interesting. I will say there was one rather rambunctious fan. I think that's how you say that word.
Yeah, rambunctious, yeah.
Yeah, probably annoying would be to say the word. Just he was, yelling CJ Carr over and over and over and
Like a
over and
grown
over.
man.
I can hear his voice in my head right now,
Oh,
and
he was like that's a grown man yelling CJ Carr nonstop?
yes, yep. I think
Okay,
he had
yeah.
yeah, something with CJ Carr on his T-shirt as well. He had a
Yeah.
couple too many. I'll be surprised to hear how long that guy made it through the game. But yeah, that was pretty cool to see those guys roll into the stadium. Duce Knight led the way. I also got a video of that. I don't know if you want to pull that up. I'm really just throwing things at you right now. But
The video of Deuce walking in?
yeah, let's get that one pulled up. Let's show our viewers here what it looks like to have those commits walk in.
Yeah.
That was led by Chad Bowden, then Duce Knight, premier guy right behind Chad Bowden. And it's always interesting to see which targets are in that line because it maybe gives a little bit of a hint of who's trending toward committing to Notre Dame. And sure enough, it was CJ May, the edge rusher from Alabama, right behind him.
Yeah, and I think at that point, he had already told the staff he was committing, he just had not announced it yet. So, um, but yeah, hold on. Yeah, so this was always pretty interesting. So, I mean, let me actually go back and kind of pause it, and I can kind of tell you guys who's who. So that's Chad Bowden at the front, director of recruiting. Duce Knight, 2025 quarterback commit. CJ May, 2025 edge, who committed to Notre Dame right after the game. You got CJ Carr, 2024 quarterback commit. Cam Williams, receiver commit in the 24 cycle. We'll talk about in a little bit. Jerome Bettis in the 25 cycle. Familiar sounding name. We'll talk about him in a bit. Tabron Benning Powell, safety commit. All these guys are commits pretty much. Peter Jones, offensive line commit. Styles Prescott, offensive line commit. Bryce Young, defensive line commit, all 2024. Carson Hobbs, 24 corner commit. Kingston Villiam-Moasa, 24 linebacker commit. Sorry, podcast audience. And there's a big one right there, literally and figuratively. Nnamdi Aoko, a Georgia commit on the defensive line. We'll talk about him uh, pretty shortly here. Sean Sevillano, defensive line commit. Logan Saldate, receiver commit. Carson Hobbs, corner commit. Micah Gilbert, receiver commits, recruiting intern. Justin Thurman, running back commit, 25 class. Bodie Cahoon, 24 linebacker commit. Davion Dixon, 25 defensive line commits. Teddy Reese, Teddy Rizak. Man, I'm just talking a lot here. Teddy Rizak, 24 linebacker commit. And I think lastly is Davis Andrews, the 24 safety commit. Nope, just kidding. They just keep coming. 24 running back, Aeneas Williams, 24 safety, Kennedy Urlacher, both Irish commits. And I think that's it. And then some ushers in the back. So yeah, that was that, Kyle.
Yeah, now you understand why Mike is our photo ID guy for the recruits. So
Yeah.
he knows these guys off the top of his head. So anyway, that's kind of how things get going on Saturday. From there, they all venture into the field, and then it's game time. And during the game, I'm usually writing during the first half, and I usually take my binoculars and kind of scout out what's going on in the recruiting section. I bothered one of our colleagues to try and find out who the heck was down there, basically sitting in the grass or like the landscaping in front of the recruit section. So seating was tight. Notre Dame welcomed all their commits, pretty much every top target on their board to campus, and I guess from talking to the kids, Mike, went pretty well. And
Yeah,
yeah, let's fire up that Duce Knight
yeah,
video
of
real
course.
quick just to show where these recruits sit. They sit towards the north end zone, and Duce Knight in white there, that white jacket. Boy, did he have a good time.
Yeah. I was thinking because a lot of times like this kind of visit has like 100 recruits. Like there's some big time recruits there, right? I feel like for this one, Notre Dame only had like, I mean, like the 40 big names, 40, 45 big names, whatever. And then maybe like 20 extra kind of prospect names, the non-offered guys. Um, and I was thinking for a little while there, like that's not a ton. And Kyle, I'm starting to think about it more. You got to think you got their recruits, and then you got what 1 to 3 guests or something that they're able to bring 1 to 2 guests. That's a lot of seats for a primetime game.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
are kind of freebies there. So yeah. Any other takeaways, Kyle, from you that before I go from this recruiting weekend?
Not a whole lot. I mean, just even though it was a super big weekend, pretty much some basic stuff. I mean, it's just guys walking into the stadium, and then like we're able to go down on the field pregame and watch those guys walk through the tunnel. And I had some observations of that. All the pregame festivities on Blue and Gold. You can check that game out, or check that article out from it, even though it was a couple days ago. Kind of get a
Yeah,
better feel what things look like on Saturday. But I think the final takeaway was if you're a top target in Notre Dame's class, you were most likely there. The only one off the top of my head that wasn't able to make it into town was James Flanagan, the legacy tight end recruit. He'll be at the USC game instead. Some other targets on Notre Dame's board are also going to visit for that game, but I think they really pointed a lot of the top guys to this Ohio State game, and they're hoping to reap the benefits. And I think they started to with that run of commitments over the weekend.
yeah, 3 new commits for the Irish. I mean, just like I know Derek Meadows, Talon Taylor, James Flanagan. Like, there's definitely some like huge targets that weren't there. But yeah,
Talon was there. Talon Taylor was there.
no, I'm sorry. Derek Meadows, Ivan Taylor, Ivan Taylor.
Ivan Taylor. My
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Maybe I mixed that one up.
yeah. Ivan Taylor, James Flanagan. Yeah, um, Justin Scott wasn't. I'm kidding. That's 25 or 24. But yeah. So huge recruiting week. I'll give some of my thoughts. But let's hear. Actually, let me ask you a question, Kyle. What time is it? It's
It's time for Mike to cash in after I gave him that Kirk Cousins pick last week. So
oh,
Prize
you're
Picks fired
joking.
up.
You were not. I thought you weren't on board with the Kirk Cousins pick, right?
No, I told you to because I remember that's when we made for terrible radio, and I was researching all the NFL statistics, and I think it. Who did they play? I forget, but they had one of the worst
The
passing
Chargers. Yeah,
defenses
yeah,
in
you
the
told me
NFL.
that.
Yeah,
But 291 was high. And after the first quarter, Kirk Cousins only had 48 yards, and the more bet was 291, and I was sweating. So we actually have done pretty well. We'll go to my first one. So this was Friday. The Prize Picks will do something really cool on. I think it's been at least each Friday so far during the football season where like you get like a $20 free entry basically. So and it's got to be a flex play. The players have to be playing on Friday. Read your terms. So I did $20 entry and it netted me $5 because I went 2 for 3, which was pretty cool. Just was less on Audric Estime. We bet the more 74.5 and was short there. The less on Hartman passing yards is a good call, and then yeah, we hit the Kirk Cousins. So let's see. The Colorado hype I did not buy into. placing an entry on the less on Shador Sanders, and then I also had a couple, on the Dolphins, and went 2 for 3 there. So a $30 entry netted me, $750.
Hold on
Which,
1 second, Mike. Raheem Mostert had less than 78 and a
uh,
half rushing receiving
no,
yards?
no, that was my entry because he usually. I thought the
Oh, he
Dolphins
had
were.
more.
Yeah, he had
Okay.
much more. I just thought the
Okay,
Dolphins
yeah.
would air it out because the Dolphins will not run the ball a ton. They like to, but I just thought that he wouldn't. So, yeah, not a good pick by me. We're gonna skip past this one because it was an L. And then how about this? I was like, listen, I had $12 left in bonus cash, so I was like, let's just throw a $12 power play, which means you have to hit both on the two quarterbacks and their rushing yards. So the entry was less than 44.5 for Jalen Hurts. That hit. And then more than 3.5 rushing yards for Matt Stafford. Last drive of the game, he has a 7-yard run, and that entry hits. So $12 power play hit 36. So I started this with 240 bucks, and I'm at 274 right now. And this is not like a way for me to make money, right? This is just all entertainment, and it just adds to watching games. So it's like Sunday night game, Monday night game, Dolphins games, Notre Dame games. It just kind of adds a little something. So do this responsibly, game responsibly here, and it just kind of adds to the fun. So let's wrap this up, Kyle. Let's see what we have if Notre Dame. That's lines here. Audric estimate 90.5 rush yards. Sam Hartman 241.5. And Hartman passing interception. I feel like Hartman, this is not the week he throws a pick. We say less than a half of an interception. Do we like that?
To be honest, Notre Dame fans aren't gonna wanna hear this, but Hartman's, like, kinda due for one just because, like, how can you play, what is it, 5 or 6 games now and be a
Yeah, 5.
gunslinger like Hartman, not throw an interception?
I'm
However,
pushing
I
for it.
feel more comfortable with the Audric Estimate bet. I'm kinda fading him, to go less than that. I mean, Audric's always due for, like, a long run, but I just Notre Dame, they're going all in with that 5 quarterback or 5 running back crew, so
So this is what I like on a lot of these. The more or less it gives you like this the line, like the projected line of what they've done. So I mean, he's went more than 94 the last 5 games. Uh I would bet the more here, so I think we're just gonna skip this one. Okay. I think we're just gonna I like the Hartman, and then we're gonna go to the Dolphins. Who the Dolphins have? Oh yeah, Buffalo. Oh, I don't know if I want to touch this game, honestly. We're gonna get back to your regularly scheduled program in just a minute. Maybe NFL just passing yards. Let's find a quarterback that has under 200. You want to go Desmond Ritter? How's the Jacksonville pass defense, Kyle? Can you get the crack stuff on that?
well, I
Jump.
know enough about the Jacksonville defense
Wait.
that they gave me like -4 fantasy points last week, so I'm all in on Falcons if that's the case.
All right. How about this? How about this? Justin Fields, less than 184.5. He's playing the Broncos. You know the Broncos are going to bounce back because the Broncos are not supposed to be that terrible of a defense, right? I was watching ESPN the next morning, something I don't do much if it's not live sports, and ESPN was talking about how like the Broncos defense was supposed to be like top 5 in the league or something. They dropped and Notre Dame Dolphins scored 70 against them. So we're going to go for the Broncos to bounce back and hold Justin Fields under 184, which should not be that difficult because the Bears are terrible. Mr. Anderson says, "Catch me smashing the lest on 10 and 0.5 players on the field." That's hysterical. Okay, so do you like that, Kyle?
I'm feeling better about Desmond Ritter because Jacksonville has, I think, the 6th or 7th worst pass defense in the
All right,
NFL. So
all right, let's rock a flex play then. Let's go
Let's
$20
go.
on a flex play, and there you go. So, if we hit all 3, we obviously get that $20 entry back plus 25. And then if we just get 2 out of 3 correct, you get your $20 entry back plus $5. So that's gonna be the pick. So find out next Thursday how we did, and it's probably gonna be Mike Singer just on fire. Okay, going back to recruiting. My takeaways, Kyle. I got to start at Nnamdi Aoko, and I'll mention, folks, all of this has been covered at blueandgold.com earlier this week. So if you are a member of the websites, I know that LuxND is, so be like LuxND and be on the blueandgold.com message board. But Nnamdi Aoko, the Georgia commit, 6'4.5", 355 pounds. Kyle, it had been rumored for a few weeks, I think, that Notre Dame was going to have an SEC commit officially visit, and this got so much hype because of that. That was not leaked by me. I don't know who said that, some other reporter, but that was out there. So I'm thinking to myself, man, it could be like a 2-star Vanderbilt commit, and people are going to think it's some 5-star Bama commit or something. Somewhere in the middle there. Georgia defensive line commit, Nnamdi Aoko, number 912 overall player, number 86 interior lineman on the defense side of the ball. I have a strong feeling that that's probably going to change. Only his second year playing football. So he's played something like 13 games of football in his entire life. So definitely, new to the game, and at 6'4.5", 355 pounds, just a monstrosity of a person. Did he look that big in person too, Kyle?
He was a big boy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big boy.
he's Justin Scott's size, but with like an extra 40, 50 pounds. So
That's
it's a big,
crazy.
big guy.
Yeah, Justin
Yeah.
Scott at like 310 pounds. You're like, yeah, he's huge. Yeah, how about? And even if he's not 355, let's say he's playing weight down to 340 or something, still a huge person who could be ready to play at that size right now. So I think Notre Dame's in a battle with Georgia. I mean, listen, if you're committed to Georgia and you officially visit Notre Dame, you're only doing that because you're serious about it. So I think that he's going to be one to keep a close eye on moving forward. Davis Andrews had a really good time. 2024 safety out of American Fork, Utah, who is more like a 2026 prospect because he will commit to some school, sign a ceremonial letter of intent. It's the best way to describe it. It's not super binding. I don't know how binding it is. So he will go on his mission trip in January of 2024, a Mormon mission trip, and then come back January 2026. At that point, let's say he picks Notre Dame, right? This upcoming Monday is his commitment date. He can still go to any other school, and it doesn't count towards his one-time transfer rule, or he doesn't have to request and to get out of his letter of intent or anything like that, because again, there's not really one to my knowledge. So I get it, folks. Like, if Davis Andrews commits to Notre Dame Monday, you're not super pumped up about it, but I can tell you that Notre Dame will be, because the upside for that kid is tremendous, and there's really no downside. Like, if he comes here and you have a 20-year-old true freshman, fantastic. Right? I mean, just kind of physically, the additions to that room and how that bolsters will be fantastic. But if not, then it's like, all right. I mean, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Kanu Kia is expected to return to Notre Dame in January from his 2-year mission trip. So a lot of people will be like, well, those guys, like, does it ever work out? I mean, Kanu Kia is coming to Notre Dame. It's not like Notre Dame has these guys a ton either. At least to my knowledge, like, Notre Dame doesn't land too many of the Mormon mission guys. So yeah, there might not be a lot of success for Notre Dame because it doesn't happen a lot, at least in recent memory. So Davis Andrews, probably Notre Dame or Utah this upcoming Monday. I honestly don't know which school it will be, but we'll keep an eye on that. And then, yeah, Tabor Brittany Powell was the other official visitor. Rock solid commit for the Irish from the Cincinnati area. Thought Kingston Viliamu being on campus, Kyle, was a sneaky big storyline, considering that people thought he was going to commit to Ohio State and it was Notre Dame. When I say people, me included, like, it was like the day before. You're like, oh, Notre Dame's got a lot of buzz here. This is kind of crazy. I'm hearing really good things about the status of his commitment in terms of it being pretty solid. So that's a nice sneaky storyline, especially with Ohio State beating Notre Dame. That everything is still really good with his commitment. And look, guys, there's a lot of 2025 targets we could talk about. I mean, obviously the 3 commitments: Kyle, Joseph Reif, defensive lineman from Chicagoland, Daniel Anderson, a running back from Bryant's, Arkansas, and then of course CJ May, the pass rusher from Highland Home, Alabama. That's huge storylines for Notre Dame. We covered 2 of those commitments in a video earlier this week. We haven't talked a ton about Joseph Reif, but he's listed at about 6'3", 6'5", 230. I'm told that he's more in the 240 range, and Notre Dame, believes he can play around 270, 280-ish. And we had a really good article on Reif at blueandgold.com yesterday, so please check that out. But Kyle, my last takeaway here would be Duce Knight. It was 1 year's as well. His first week as a committed prospect, I talked to him 3 times in interviews. Like he's embracing like that side of things, being the face of the class with the media, on social media, privately. I mean, from what I'm told, he's talking to so many prospects. It's been pretty revitalizing to see that. If that might be a little bit of a bold word, like, all right, Mike, that's a little much. But seriously, like, how much of a good job he's done on the recruiting trail. Like, I love to see recruits recruit other players, and Duce, and the article that I had on Monday where he went in depth about what he says to other prospects when he's recruiting them. I thought it was really cool. So yeah. Any thoughts on my rambles there, Kyle, or you ready to move on?
I've talked to a lot of guys that Duce Knight's been in their ear. Owen Strebig, Talon Taylor, Ethan Long. Just those are some of the guys that Duce Knight is really courting to Notre Dame, and I think those are some guys trending toward Notre Dame. And Mike, I do want to toot my own horn real quick because I wrote
Please.
in my 5 thoughts when Duce Knight committed, and I think I reiterated it last Thursday, that there were a couple prospects or targets on the cusp of committing to Notre Dame. We were just kind of waiting for Duce Knight to come off the board, and I will say I think that the game atmosphere had a big deal for that, and a lot of those guys coming in, and just the excitement behind that. But Notre Dame, they got 3 commitments last weekend, and that comes just days after Duce Knight's pledge, and I still think there's a couple other guys that Notre Dame's looking to get before the end of the season as well. So don't take that Duce Knight commitment lightly because it's starting to bear fruit for the Irish 25 class.
Kyle, when we talked about Prize Picks, I kind of forgot to actually do my ad read. We just kind of got into it. So let me just quickly mention, folks. Today's sponsor, the show for today. Okay, Mike, words, you got this. The sponsor for today's show, Prize Picks. You can win 25 times your money on an entry. It gets better. When you use the promo code BGI, you will get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. So if you bet $50, Prize Picks will give you 50 in bonus money. If you bet 100 or you deposit 100, they'll give you 100. So please use promo code that's BGI, promo code BGI on that. And then the other sponsor for today's show is Rogue Shop, the husband and wife outfit, as Mr. Rogue and his wife Char are craft cannabis farmers who specialize in small batch sustainable plant medicine. A true holistic type of small business. They farm and grow everything themselves and do everything by hand. Check them out, rogueshop.com, ROGUE shop.com. CBD, THC, edibles, tinctures, smokables, bath salts, pain creams, topicals, vapes, candles, soaps, more. If you have issues, sleeping, chronic pain, anxiety, stress issues, folks, all these things we're talking about, you're going to want to check it out at rogueshop.com. And when you use the promo code blue and gold, that's one word, blue and gold, you will get 10% off your order. And we really need to see Kyle Kelly wearing these earrings next week. So Kyle, we're going to have our people talk to your people. And we'll see about that next week. So, yeah. Kyle, moving along, my friend.
You're not going to see me in those earrings. They would look great on you, though.
All right. Well, maybe I'll have my people talk to their people then. Um, So, Kyle, I want to talk about where we've been on the road recently, and I will give you the floor first. You got to see a decent little wide receiver, guy who I think is got a really good argument to be a 5-star prospect. And every time the rankings guys at On3 talk about him, it definitely seems to be the case as well. So, yeah, I'm curious after seeing him in person for what, second or third time, I'm guessing.
This is the first time I've seen him play. Or no, I saw him at Irish Invasion. So this would be actually both Irish Invasions. So
Right. So
I've
third,
seen Cam, yeah, third time
first
compete in
game.
person, but I feel like I'm always running into him at Notre Dame, and I've saw him in other couple instances as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
Cam Williams is awesome on and off the field.
Yeah. So just thoughts on his game performance.
Yeah, I will have a complete thoughts on blue and gold. I think around noon is when my story is scheduled to run. But Cam Williams is rated as the number 28 overall player, I believe, by On3's metrics. And if that stays true, he will be a 5-star. On3 typically likes to give 32 5-stars for to match 32 NFL first round draft picks, and I think that Cam Williams is definitely fits that bill. Unfortunately, the game I picked to attend was a complete blowout. It was Glenn Bardsouth's biggest win of the season. I think they won like 63-21, or they put up over 60 points. So didn't really get to see a whole lot of Cam Williams, only in the first half. I think he had 3 or 4 catches. 2 of them were for touchdowns. One of them was called back. But yeah, Cam Williams, he's a very exciting football player. He's got the speed, he's got the moxie, he's got the flash, and he also plays defense, which he did very well on Friday night. And I put my thoughts that'll be posted on Blue and Gold in about an hour or so. That honestly, I think if Cam Williams wanted to show up and say, "Hey, I'm playing safety at Notre Dame," I think Notre Dame would let him do it. He's that great of a prospect. Um, super athletic play there, leaping there to make the tackle. And there's also a play on here that did not favor Cam Williams, but I still wanted to show, and there it was there. He did miss the tackle, but just his closing speed, his quickness, sideline to sideline is incredibly impressive. So the speed, it jumps off the field. I think this is a kid that when he early enrolls in Notre Dame in January, he's going to find his way onto the field similarly to Jaden Greathouse and Rico Flores. And I also don't want to give away too much from my story that's going to be posted at noon, but I think Cam Williams is truly a 5-star level, or sorry, well, he is a 5-star level recruit, but he also has first round NFL draft potential.
Okay, so you mentioned something interesting that I think should be clarified. So I hear that a lot. Like if his ranking of 27 holds, that's a 5-star. But that's not like that's how it works in a way. But the national rankings, right? Your receiver rankings, state rankings. I think people need to think of them more. And I can't speak to other places, but I will for On3. This is more of like fan engagement, fan interest, right? This rating of 96 for him, that's the actual grade. Everything else, like let's say there are actually, let me just pull this up because I think this might help people understand rankings a little bit. So let's say there are, you see Cam Williams is a 96, right? 1, 2, 3. There's 3 receivers that have a grade of a 96. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not even sharing the right tab. All right, there. See this? Cam Williams is a 96 here. Bryant Wesco, Clemson commit at 96. Mike Matthews, Tennessee commit 96. What On3 is saying here is we view these guys basically the same. And they are very, very much splitting hairs between who's the number 5 receiver, number 6 receiver, number 7 receiver. I mean, they view these guys the same is basically what they're saying. So a 97. Let me pull this up so you guys can see this. This is the rating scale. A 5-star prospect has a grade from a 98 to 100. A 4-star 90 to 97. So a pretty wide range there for 4-star prospects, and 90 being you are just 4-star status to 97 being you're super close to 5-star. You have 80 to 89 grades for 3-star, and then 98 to 100 again for 5-star. So while yes, Cam Williams, if that 27 holds, his rating needs to go up from 96 to a 98. So I think that's important for folks to know, like the rating thing for On3, but also like he easily could be the number 7 receiver because he has the same grade as Mike Matthews. I think On3, like that's got to be really difficult to be like we view these guys the same, like we think their talent level is the exact same pretty much. Now we got to throw darts on a dartboard to figure out who's going to be 5, 6, 7. Now exactly how they do that, I'm sure it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but I think that might be a little bit of a insight into rankings and how they work a little bit more from a guy who's had a third of his life has been working in this industry. So yeah, when you had said that, that just kind of thought like that might be a good opportunity, because I hadn't thought about that in a while, but good opportunity to kind of share
Yeah,
that.
I have not thought about it that way as well, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Either way, I think Cam Williams by the end
Yeah.
of his senior year could definitely find himself with a 98 rating.
Long way to say I definitely agree with you. I think that there's a decent chance. Again, and talking to Charles Power and Cody Belair, yeah. So, and I actually, as you were talking, I texted Cody to make sure that because this is an article that I'd saved from October 2021. So I texted him to make sure that was still good. And he said, yes, sir, there will only be 32 5-stars, and we won't reach that final 32 number until the final signing day. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. So yeah, Cam Williams, what a good kid too, man. Like, guys, how about this? He grew up a Michigan fan. That's my favorite thing about Notre Dame getting Cam Williams committed is he grew up a Michigan fan, and he just came to the realization that yeah, Notre Dame's just a better fit for me overall. So gotta love that. How about the potential? Speaking of fit, Jerome Bettis Jr. I think would fit pretty well at Notre Dame, Kyle, and that's the prospect I got to see. Of course, the son of Jerome Bettis Sr., call him an icon, a legend, recent graduates of the Fighting Irish University. So Jerome Bettis Jr., class of 2025 receiver, 6'3", 185 pounds. On 3 industry ranking, currently has him as a 3-star, number 449 overall player, number 63 receiver in America. I'll pop on his tape from the game, Kyle, and kind of give some of my thoughts. He played safety and receiver. And I think this game was 42-0 at halftime. I actually dipped out at halftime because I already interviewed him early in the day, and he wasn't going to be playing in the second half, so I had nothing to stick around for. But overall, pretty good, Kyle. And I wrote about this in an article late Friday night that Bettis is a really interesting. Actually, I'll talk about this at the end. I'll go through the film. So, little stop and go hezzy move there to get a touchdown and an interesting little celebration there for Bettis in the goal line red zone. And his next 3 stops are all kind of there's a hitch right there. Catches the ball pretty cleanly with his hands, which I liked. A lot of receivers, I know for me in hitch routes and comeback routes, I would body catch these too much. But this one right here, quick reaction, goes to the ball, snags it with his hands. That was my favorite play on the the half of football that I got to see from Jerome Bettis. And Kyle, you can see from the size, like he looks really good. There's a little comeback break into the outside. Do you see that little how he goes and gets the football, right? He's open. Like you can see him stepping towards the football to go get it. That's really good at the receiver position for a junior in high school. Easily could have just waited for it to come to him. But he goes and gets it, and then just kind of wrapping up a block. And then the next play, you'll see him a tackle at the safety position. So this is my thoughts on him. I think he's got a really good balance of ceiling and floor. I think his explosiveness, just as an athlete, it seems like he's just scratching the surface of how good he can be on that side of things, Kyle. Like, I think he's got some twitchiness to him. I think when he gets to a college strength and conditioning program, like, I think he'll be able to tap into that more. But he also has a good mix of a high floor. That route running he has, the way he's able to go get the football, that's a combination of good coaching and just confidence to go to the football and catch it with your hands consistently. That's pretty impressive for me for Jerome Bettis. So I was able to see why Notre Dame wants him. Obviously, if Jerome Bettis's kid has a decent football player as his son, you're going to go get him if you're Notre Dame. I'm sorry. You just are. It's Jerome Bettis, right? You're going to do that. But he also is a really good football player in his own right. Like, if his last name weren't Bettis, would Notre Dame go after him? I think so. I mean, I honestly do think so. Again, he looks pretty technically sound at the receiver spot already. You combine that with the high floor, excuse me, the high ceiling that he has when he kind of taps into his athletic potential. I think there's a lot to like with Jerome Bettis Jr. Atlanta Woodward Academy. Love where Notre Dame stands at with him as well. He played Friday night and then Saturday morning flew into the South Bend. So, yeah, so that's where we were this past Friday. Kyle, look to where we are going this Friday. Why don't you tell us where you're headed?
I will be on the road to Fort Wayne for the second time this year. First time I was in Fort Wayne was to see 2025 Notre Dame edge target Damian Shanklin from Indianapolis Warren Central. He played Fort Wayne Carroll, who has a quarterback committed to Duke. And I'll be going back to Fort Wayne on Friday night to see Bronte Johnson, who goes by Tay Johnson, from Fort Wayne North Side. It is going to be the premier rivalry game on North Side schedule. North Side is facing South Side at Southside High. Tay Johnson has been playing quarterback for North Side ever since coming back from injury. I think week 3 or week 4 of this high school football season. Isn't really playing a whole lot of defense, but really looking forward to catching up with Tay Johnson. Talk to Notre Dame 2025 cornerback target Mark Zachary from Indianapolis, Ben Davis. He sat by Tay Johnson at the Notre Dame versus Ohio State game. Those two played AAU basketball, not together, but they faced each other pretty often growing up. And Tay Johnson, he had his recruiting hat on, trying to get Mark Zachary to join him at Notre Dame. So, some guys, not every guy's gonna be like Duce Knight, but these certain guys are going to take advantage when they can. And Tay Johnson is advocating for Notre Dame, which is a great sign, especially with all the great schools he picked the Irish over. So, really excited to see him in person. Terrific athlete. I've had multiple people tell me that they really do think Tay Johnson could play college basketball if he wanted to. So, very much excited to watch him on Friday night under the lights.
I think Tay Johnson, so on 3 ranks him lowest right now, number 298 overall player. They rank him lowest nationally, I should say. Now, when you look at athlete, it's high, but I'm guessing 24/7 ranks him as a safety. No, athlete. So, okay, that's interesting. They rank him higher positionally, but much lower nationally. I don't know what to take of that, but anyways, I would guess, knowing what I know from talking to the guys at On 3, if they're ranking Johnson as an athlete and they see basketball footage, in November, after the football season ends in December, and they see what he's doing at quarterback and stuff, and they see the athletic traits. Again, if they're trying to rank him as a safety based on senior film, that's going to be difficult. But you rank him as an athlete, I think that he's going to be a stock up guy. So, yeah, I'm excited to see your report, and we'll talk about what you saw from Tay Johnson in our show next Thursday. I was just in Charlotte a couple weeks ago, and I saw tight end commit Jack Larson. I tried to edit the footage in time for our show this morning, and I was not able to do it. So next week, I'm going to talk about a trio Charlotte guys. So we're going to look at my film from Jack Larson from 2 weeks ago, where I thought Jack was he looked really outstanding. I'm headed back there tomorrow morning. Charlotte Christian has 2 Notre Dame commits. You got wide receiver Micah Gilbert, a 4-star player, and then Bryce Young, who is, oh man, he's an outstanding player. A defensive end, 6'6", 245 pounds. Guys, screenshot this ranking right now. Just screenshot this, right? You guys see how low 24/7 and ESPN have him ranked? Now, ESPN may never bump them because it's ESPN. They don't have half of Notre Dame's commits in 2025 class even ranked. Like, I don't know what ESPN's doing. But you guys see 24/7 Rivals. I guarantee you, and I don't do this with rankings, I guarantee you he's going to shoot up. Everyone's going to follow On3 on this ranking. On3 had him ranked, 190 or something nationally. I think like 18 in the edge rankings, and his ratings shot up as well. Everything shot up, and I mean, everyone's going to follow suit. Bryce Young, I am ecstatic to finally meet him because I don't think I've met him yet. To meet him in person, to shoot footage of him. So Bryce Young on one side of the ball and Micah Gilbert, who, really good-looking talent that we saw at Irish Invasion, Kyle, over the summer. And they're going to be playing Rabun Gap. There's another word in that high school that I don't know how to pronounce. I'm not going to. Rabun Gap School in Georgia has the Pritchett brothers, sons of Wes Pritchett. You have Marshall, the 2025 tight end. And then, oh man, I'm forgetting the other Pritchett's name. Do you know Lawson? Yeah, Lawson Pritchett. So Lawson is maybe like a preferred walk-on target for Notre Dame. Let me pull up his profile. Okay, excuse me, 6'3", 205 pound safety in the 2024 class. Group of 5 fringe FCS guy listed at 6'3", 205 pounds. And then Marshall Pritchett. Both these guys were just on campus for the Ohio State game too. So Marshall Pritchett offers from North Carolina, Wisconsin, Vanderbilt, Boston College. Michigan offered a couple weeks ago too. So 2025 tight ends. So I'm gonna have my hands full trying to keep an eye on all these guys. That's for sure. With
good luck.
four to keep an eye on, but so you always try to go to a game with as much Notre Dame guys as possible. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'll have a report next Thursday in our show, but I mean, late Friday night or Saturday morning, I'll have a written report at blueandgold.com. And I'm sure, Kyle, you will as well from seeing Tay Johnson. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. And as I've talked about, I own a condo in Clemson, so I'm probably going to stop in Clemson, do a couple chores at our condo. Probably going to stop by the state is Memorial Stadium. Is that what Clemson Stadium is called?
Death Valley.
Yeah, I know Death Valley. Yeah, Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just know it by Death Valley.
Yeah, I'll probably stop by, take a picture because I will be back for the Notre Dame Clemson game, and I am so freaking pumped. To see Notre Dame, to do a game day in Clemson, because I've obviously been there several times. And to see what that town is like on a huge game day, I'm pretty pumped. So yeah, I will be back for that, and be back in Charlotte. Pretty pumped up, and we'll be back on our live show next Thursday. Written coverage of blueandgold.com. So that's going to do it for this show. Unless you had any final thoughts, Kyle, we're good.
No, sir. Be excited to see Tay Johnson tomorrow night, and looking forward to see if we hit our prize picks next week.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to wrap it up there. After the game, Tim Hyde and I will be live right here on our YouTube channel, so please do check that out. Goolsby Show Sunday night. Kyle, I think we're going to go 7 Eastern on the Goolsby Show Sunday because I need to watch that Chiefs-Jeffs game at 8 p.m. And to be honest with you, it's cards on the table. It's more to do with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce because I need that drama. I need to follow that drama and see if Taylor Swift actually does make it to the game like it's been reported. So likely 7.
Gosh.
Yeah, you laugh all you want, Kyle. But I am here for it 100%, and I will not cower away from my love for that saga. 7 p.m. Goolsby Show Sunday night. If Goolsby's able to make that work, tomorrow around noon we'll post the final thoughts, observations, and prediction video where Tim Hyde will talk about the game. So a lot coming up on our YouTube channel here, Blue and Gold, as well as of course tons of coverage at blueandgold.com and check out the Loose Emoji message board as well. Appreciate you all for watching. And as always, we will catch you next time.